To people and communities. I move on to notice of motion, organ donation. Call on Councillor Core to propose your motion.
Thank you, Ardvara. I'll actually keep us short in the vein of things. I know it's 9:30 at night. And it was just really just to follow up on the stuff which Martin had brought to our attention earlier on about his son Dahi needing a heart transplant. And we were doing a series of events this week. We did a wee mural on the White Rock Road today. We're doing a park run on Saturday. We're doing a coffee morning, which you're hosting on Friday, isn't it? We have a coffee morning up in College Jaffiers on Thursday as well. And when I was speaking today at the wee mural launches, I did say that it would be a shame, if we did all this stuff, and especially for Martin and Seth and stuff, after all this week, if we didn't have the impact of getting more and more people onto the organ donation register. A few of our councillors tonight have done it while they're sitting here. It takes 2 minutes. I have the forms here, and I've spoken to Stephen, and I think we're going to get those all into people's pigeon boxes for tomorrow. And it would be great. We're actually trying to push for our party to be, everyone to be an organ donor, and we would like to extend that out to every party in here. I know it's a personal decision, but if each party group leader could take a bit of a lead on it, or even anybody in any of the group parties or the parties, Matt, yourselves as well, Tim, every party would take a bit of a lead in this. And I think it would be good if this council did a wee bit more and all our councillors had, we're all organ donors as much as possible. And some of the practical things I was just looking to raise, and Suzanne, I know you had mentioned earlier on about, is it possible to do that whenever people are going to register a birth? Is there potential to do a DVLA? I know you're going to look into it. And that would be something to be very special for the family as well. And one of the realities is too, and it was very difficult to discuss this today when we were speaking, was that if everyone in this room here tonight became an organ donor, it still wouldn't help young Dahi. And I know, and I realise, and his family, no one realise and accept that it's going to take another family to go through a really traumatic event of losing a child for their child to live. And it's something which they find hard to talk about, and it's something which I think anyone here would find hard to talk about. I actually dealt with a case last week up in the Murph, up in Ballymurphy, of a young 7-week-old baby who died. And I know that the family were afterwards, and they were saying to me and stuff, it was very difficult. It wasn't on their radar, and they're still haven't came to, I don't think they'll ever come to terms with it. But it's something that in those moments of grief that no family would ever think about. They would never think about, especially a child. No parents would ever have to bury a child, but I know that wouldn't be anywhere near your mind around organ donation. So it is something that we can do practical. It's something that this council can do practical here tonight. I know it's not really a vote on it or anything, but it's just to ask the council to be innovative in its ways. And I think that us as the city fathers and the city mothers, for want of a better phrase, we take the lead, each of us personally, and become an organ donor here over the next few days. So thank you. And that motion, I give it to the floor, and whatever that means, but it's up to us to make sure it means something rather than just a tick-box exercise that we've discussed in other motion here. Thank you. Thanks
very much. I'm now going to call on the seconder, Councillor Newberry.
Gormagad Arthur. Buat am Rúspara, buhas a gola Macarja, Martin, Seth, agus Dahi is Chak is Chak Nacht, agus Lorchlin, and Talak to Buncha, le Jonah Organ. Is fact the Saint of Talak is Shaw, agus to Chonaher all Warga arrogant Rachel. Is current she Glinder McCree, le Fackle, and Mage, Takiak the Taki Marclan. I just want to thank Martin, Seth and Dahi for the presentation to the Council this evening. I signed up as an organ donor when I was 17 after a quick conversation with my friends during study period in school. But as Martin said earlier, it is a matter of conscience. It will never be easy for parents to do the unthinkable and register their child to the organ donation list, but sadly, the unthinkable is the reality for Martin and Seth. I've always believed that this is a very important campaign, and the amazing work that Martin and Seth have put into this has had a massive impact upon our local community. And it lifts my heart to see the amount of support and love that they have, so I can only begin to imagine how they feel. They are more than a credit to us all, and on that note I will be supporting this motion, and I do hope that all the members do support this.
Thank you. Councillor Newton.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and I rise tonight in support of the motion brought forward by Councillor Core and seconded by Councillor Naberna. Belfast City Council has played a small role in supporting organ donation in recent years. In June 2016, a candle sculpture was unveiled in Botanic Gardens by my colleague Brian Kingston, which was commissioned by the Strange Boat Donor Foundation. This foundation was set up by Dennis and Martina Goggin following the passing of their son Eamon. And the sculpture was actually gifted to Belfast by Galway Civic Trust. And then in November 2017, I had the great privilege of representing Belfast City Council in Boston as we unveiled a sister sculpture, which was part of a worldwide day of remembrance for organ donation. This sculpture is actually taking pride of place at Bingham and Women's Hospital, which was the site of the first ever successful organ transplant conducted in 1954 by Dr. Joseph Murray. It was a very moving event, and I got to meet with families of Dr. Murphy, and also people who have received organ donation, and also those who have made the very tough decision to grant organs from their loved ones to other people. For some, there are no alternatives but for an organ donation, and there is no greater gift any of us can give than the gift of life. I commend individuals and families who have enabled organ donation or given an organ to someone in need just to know they have tried to make a difference to another person's quality of life, and that actually restores my faith in humanity. Again, I do support this motion and hope that Daffy is able to receive the organ that he needs so badly, and wish them all the best for the future. I also want to commend them for coming in tonight and support their call for an article to go out in City Matters magazine. And again, thanks Stephen for bringing this forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Collins.
Thanks very much, Chair. I'll just keep it brief. I just wanted to add, I suppose, my support to the motion, and also Marcin for coming in here tonight. I think I was at the launch of the campaign in Glór-na-Móna, and yourself as well, Lord Mayor, you kind of officially opened the thing. I think it's obviously the case that this is an issue that the council could and should get behind. So fair play to Stevie for putting the motion forward. The one thing that just struck me about it, just going up to the event, and afterward I took a couple of photos and shared them up online, and two people that I know who have young kids actually contacted me to say that they find out how they could register their child, So the point really is that it's only when someone like Dahi comes forward and his family come forward, because Councillor Corr's right, nobody wants to think about those circumstances who have had a kid, but actually when you see young Dahi, then people I think realise, well actually if it was my kid in that position, they would desperately need help. And just that fact alone, I think, struck me again. It's only two people, but two people approached me and asked to find out how, and it's as simple as registering online. So I think, as Marcin articulated very well, he's not coming in and asking the world. It's very simple stuff. Is there a question? I'm not familiar of my 2 years in this council. The one area that I haven't really dealt with is registering kids. I can't say I've registered any myself. But at the very least, there should be a review into that. It's even grey to me now. Marcin had asked the question: Is it asked? I don't know that tonight. So at the very least, it would be great if people re-looked at that. And if this motion's passed, then I think that's enough to give the commitment that there should be a question like that put to people. And as I say, and any publicity that this council can lend, I think it was good to see yourself, Lord Mayor, talking about how you were going to incorporate their artwork as part of the Christmas card and all that. And really, this could take off steam across Belfast. So fully support the thing.
Councillor Mullen.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Can I also thank Dahi and his family for coming into Council tonight, and seeing such a lovely, lively wee boy gives no impression of the severe health issues that this little boy has faced, as described by his dad, Marcin. And as the Lord Mayor said, it is a credit to the family that they are using their very personal family situation to raise the issue of organ donation for the benefit of others. It's also welcome that Marcin made a number of good suggestions to bring organ donation to a bigger range of people and a wider audience. And it is hoped that this will increase the number of people locally who will sign up to the whole organ donation campaign. Having brought motions on organ donation earlier on in this council term, it is an issue that I feel very strongly about. So I fully support tonight's motion and anything that can be done in the council to actually highlight the whole issue of organ donation. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Copeland.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Corr, for bringing this motion forward this evening. Donating organs and tissues for transplant can save thousands of lives in the UK every year. In Northern Ireland, at any one time, there's approximately 150 people awaiting transplantation. And each year, approximately 15 people could die waiting for an organ. Northern Ireland also has the lowest consent rates for donation of any region in the United Kingdom. Low consent rates for donation have been linked to families not knowing the wishes of their loved ones, with consent rates for donation twice as high when the wishes of their loved ones are known. An effective strategy to increase consent rates for donation will therefore require focus on promoting organ donation at a local population level and encouraging families to talk to each other about their thoughts and their wishes for donation. A former colleague of mine, Joanne Dobson, has worked tirelessly on a bill on organ transplants, and I'm pleased that the Government intends to change the law on consent for organ donation, and legislation is currently progressing through Parliament, with the changes hopefully expected before 2020. Joanne just recently donated one of her own kidneys to her son Mark. What a gift to give to save a life. I was delighted in my term as Deputy Lord Mayor to attend the Global Organ Donor commemorative event on the 30th of November 2017. I was humbled to hear the stories of those who were given the gift of an organ transplant from a donor. I was that touched that on returning home, I registered online to become an organ donor. Becoming an organ donor only takes a few minutes, but can bring a lifetime of health and happiness to those in need of a transplant. There are no alternatives to organ transplantation for some, and there is no greater gift any of us can give than the gift of life. I support, and I know my Ulster Union's councillors here will actively support promoting organ donation. So I would like also to wish well Dathé in his future life, and I hope he keeps well.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Herring.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I'll be brief. First of all, the SNP will be supporting the motion, of course. I'd like to thank Stephen and to Dahi's family for coming and raising this issue with the Council tonight. It's important that every citizen is reminded that we have, in some ways, a duty of care to each other. And I suppose the best way that that can be done is, as Stephen and as Sinn Féin have proposed tonight, that we all take home a handful of those registration cards and we all register. I've been registered for some years, but it wasn't until I had a health scare that I realised that there were other people in need to do it, and that's when I had the opportunity to register. But we need to be reminded and reminded again to do it. For some reason, the perception is that it's a young man or young woman that the organs are donated to someone else. Tonight's story tells us that it's not. It's from when a person is only a few days old, they could be in need of medical assistance and need of a transplant to do it. So it is. It is something that I certainly do my best to encourage people to do. But yes, the initiative that Sinn Féin brought to the Chamber tonight is something that certainly, yes, all 60 of us, if we aren't already registered for organ donation, then we should certainly be thinking about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor McAllister.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I rise also to support the motion, and on behalf of the Alliance Party, I just want to thank Martin, Sefin and Dahi for coming in tonight. Looking at him and indeed listening to him, you wouldn't think that there was indeed any difficulty with his health, except for one thing, and it's those perfect little lips that I see on many children who have heart conditions, and that I see in my niece as well, that just they stick out to you, and once you hear from his parents, you realise that that's what it is, and recognise they must be going through something that's so tough. And something that Councillor Corr had said was that in order for Dahi to
for his life to be saved, is another little life has to be lost. And I also, as well as thinking of the parents, think of the medics, because I can't imagine how difficult it is that you weren't able to save a life and you need to urgently, because the time frame is so small, so tiny, to actually be able to donate organs. So even if everyone in this room today signed up to be an organ, to donate the organs, there are only very few limited circumstances in which your life might be lost that you could actually donate. So that's why it's so important that everyone can sign up to it, because there are so few circumstances in which organs can actually be donated at a tragic time of death. And I also think it's important that if anyone else tonight can do anything, as well as thinking about signing up to the register with their, is to discuss with their families, because at the end of the day, families can actually overrule your decision to be a registered organ donation at the time of your death. So it is important to have these conversations, and it takes something that's so harsh but yet so beautiful to actually get us to remember that and have these conversations that are difficult but obviously necessary. I want to thank Martine in particular for giving those rather practical ways in which Belfast City Council can help. I don't see any reason why we wouldn't be able to do all of them, so I'm grateful for him actually coming with those practical ways in which we can actually help him and his family and get more people on the register. I think Boots as well, whenever they get people to sign up to their Advantage card, one of the options is, do you want to register for an organ donation? So if Boots can do it, then Belfast City Council can do it. So it's something I'd be look forward to the council actually taking on in the future.
Thanks very much. Nobody else has indicated. And just before we move to the vote, on the three matters then that Martine had raised in terms of city matters, birth registrations, and also having the leaflets distributed, the Chief Executive is going to take that on just to follow each of those up, and then that can be reported back in due course. I was obviously at an event yesterday around kidney donation, and without embarrassing her, but Sarah up in the balcony actually abseiled down the Europa hotel yesterday. She's scundered now. But fair play, but even her own staff are getting behind it, so she done the abseil with nearly 150 other people, so those who had received transplants, those who had given organs, and family members who maybe had loved ones who passed away due to not having, or where their organ had failed. So Sarah was there yesterday up on the Europa doing that abseil. And the other issues, obviously this is Organ Donation Week, and that was part of it. So we are illuminating the City Hall tomorrow night as part of Organ Donation Week. There is that reception that I'm hosting on Friday at 12 o'clock in the reception hall. And again, that's open if members want to go along to that. And again, there will be another highlighting campaign in the run-up to Christmas as well, where we're going to work with those organisations, and in particular with the Young Dahi as well. So obviously, if there's anything, Councillor Coe, you want us to sum up on at this point?
It's just to say thank you, and it's motions like this and it's nights like this. It makes me proud to be a member of this council, and just thank you very much.
Thank you. Are members agreed? Okay, thank you everyone. We're moving on to...